And welcome back to Attorneys on Call. You know, one of the focus areas for the Whitley Law Firm is worker compensation claims. And Ben Whitley and Whitney Butcher in studio with us. And Ben, there are times, though, when people can sort of sabotage their own workers' compensation claim. And I think you've got it boiled down to really 5 key ways that people can ruin their claim.
Absolutely. And this is based on my experience and of helping people and taking calls of seeing where situations have happened where they have, as you say, sabotaged their claim. So starting with number 1 is not reporting their injury. And I see this a lot of times in back claims. Guys will be in construction sites or in a workplace, or gals, and they pick up something, they feel a little pinch in their back, and they feel, you know what, this is something it'll go away in a week, it's not a big deal. And then time goes by and they realize that it's not getting better. And even after taking Advil or something over the counter, it doesn't get any better. And they don't say anything, and then a month goes by, it's still a problem, and then they report it. And the first thing the insurance company is going to do is say, why didn't you report it? And there's a bit of time in between, and they may argue that it didn't happen at work.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so then, and if that back injury was a herniated disc that could lead to surgery, then that person is potentially having to face a major surgery, being out of work for a significant period of time with a denied case, which means that they're not going to receive any out-of-work wages, and they're not going to receive any money for their health care. And they may have health insurance, but it's not going to pay for everything. So I see that a lot. And there's some psychology involved with why they don't report, too.
Okay, right.
You know, people may have worked for a business for a long time. They may have this great relationship with the owners, and they think, you know what, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to have a workers' comp claim.
Like a mom and pop organization or something.
Right. But, you know, that's one of the things that what insurance companies do is they spread risk out throughout the whole country. And so it means that the risk of a company having to have higher rates is spread out. So I would encourage folks to understand that insurance companies are based on a risk-sharing situation. If you report a claim, that money is not coming out of your owner's pocket. And if you hire an attorney, that means you're not filing a lawsuit. So number 1, I would say, is a failure to report.
Okay.
The next thing that I believe is important is not getting advice when giving a recorded statement.
Okay.
And that is when the insurance company, after reporting the claim, the insurance company is going to call the injured worker and they're going to ask how this happened. And they're going to ask that they record that conversation.
They have to ask that, right?
They do, and that's part of their investigation. They have that right, you know. And as somebody heard it on the job, you know, I encourage you to be, you know, cooperative and give a statement. But there are certain things that you have to be careful about. And in my experience, I've seen folks given the recorded statement without calling an attorney to get a free consultation and understand certain little hiccups that can happen. Because you have to have had an injury by accident. There has to be an accident, and you have to be in the course, and these are lawyer words, but you have to be doing your job. You know, you can't be going to work in the morning and get in a car accident. You have to be doing something to help out the employer. So sometimes you're doing those things, or you're having an accident, but the insurance company may ask you questions. They may trick you into saying things that could talk yourself right out of a case.
Interesting. Okay.
You know, and I always give the example I give about an accident versus your normal job. Let's say you're a truck driver and you're part of every day you have to pull yourself up into the cab, and you pull yourself up in the cab and you hurt your shoulder. But you didn't do anything unusual, okay? And they may ask them, well, how did you get hurt? Well, I just was reaching up and pulled myself in the cab and hurt my shoulder. They're going to deny that case. But what if, after talking to a lawyer, we realized that it was in February, there was ice on the step, and he actually slipped a little bit on the ice and had to grab himself and then held on a little bit harder. That's the difference. That's the difference between an accident and a normal routine.
Seems very small, but very significant.
Is, because the insurance company's not asking questions designed to help find coverage.
Yeah, I get you.
They're asking questions to help deny coverage. Okay. So that's why I think, at least with that way to do it, it's very important to get an attorney's advice. And that advice is free. Good news.
What's number 3 on your list?
Well, we talked in the first one about failure to report the claim. Number 1, that means that you have to report an injury within 30 days. The next is waiting to get treatment. It's kind of a little bit of the same thing as waiting to get treatment, because you may report it, but then wait until seeing a doctor for 30 days, 45 days. That's going to mess up the case.
Okay.
Because they're going to argue there was a gap in the treatment.
Right.
Okay. Number 4, I would say, is one of the ways that you can sabotage your case is talking to the insurance company about a settlement of the case without talking to a lawyer first.
Okay.
Okay. You may not need to hire a lawyer, but at least talk to a lawyer to get that free advice.
Sure.
Remember, the insurance company is working for their shareholders.
Yeah, right.
To make a profit.
Yeah.
And they're not obligated to tell you what you're entitled to. You could have hidden claims in there. And that's not their job to tell you what it is.
Right.
Lastly, Drew, is hiring an attorney that has no experience in workers' comp. Workers' comp is a highly specialized part of the law. It is very intricate, and you want to hire an attorney that has experience in workers' comp cases, that has been to the Industrial Commission, that knows the ins and outs of a very complex law. And I've seen it when people have called us and they've said that they hired, like, maybe their attorney that did their traffic case.
Yeah, or did their estate plan.
Or
Or
an attorney that wrote a will, you know,
Yeah.
and now that attorney really shouldn't have taken on a workers' comp case, but sometimes they might, and then they're missing things in the settlement, or they're not able to pursue the case if there's a denial of issues at the Industrial Commission.
So what happens if Friday afternoon Tom falls off the ladder while he's changing a light bulb at his office
Right.
for, that's his job, and he falls off the ladder? How soon does he call an attorney?
Well, the first thing he does is he's got to know that within 30 days he's got to report the claim. And that can be done with a text message to his boss or to his supervisor or an email. It doesn't have to be a written report.
It doesn't have to
the
be
law
writ-
says
okay.
written, but text or email will suffice for written.
Okay.
If you work for a big company, they've got in your employee handbook, they've got their procedures, and they've probably got forms for accidents. So a lot of times, and those are the bigger companies that are going to have those types of procedures,
Sure.
but they'll have written reports that you can fill out with your supervisor. But that should be done immediately, and not waiting to get medical treatment, right? So
Yeah.
those are the first priorities.
Okay.
As far as talking to an attorney, you want to talk to that attorney before you give a statement to your insurance company, and then before it goes any further than that.
Yeah, because a lot of times, how it is, a lot of times someone falls or injures themselves, and they may not think it's serious at the time.
Right.
I don't need to go to the doctor.
Right.
And a lot of people put that off. They don't really want to go to the doctor.
Sure.
But what you're saying is the smart person will go to the doctor no matter what, because that's what you need to do when you may have a claim.
Right, and the body parts that tend to have that residual fall-off issue, it's going to be the back, the knee, and the shoulder. Major joints in the back, and those are the ones that you can have that dull pain or something that seems to be minor that could end up being a tear, as far as when we're talking joints, or could be a disc issue or a herniation. Obviously, there's sprains, and there are things that are all the way in between that aren't as serious, but you're looking out to make sure that you don't have one of those that's more serious, and you need to report. You need to seek medical treatment quickly. And then, because it's free, you need to get free legal advice.
And there's also free legal advice on the Whitley Law Firm website, whitleylawfirm.com, that you can access right there and get great information. That's a good place to start. Whitney, when people first contact you about these cases, what is typically that conversation like?
So generally, if someone has a workers' comp claim or an auto accident they've been involved in and they've been hurt, they'll call and speak to one of our attorneys. And this is pretty much all we do. I mean, we don't write wills, we don't do traffic tickets. I mean, we represent people. So
Sure.
they're going to speak with one of us, and we're going to talk to them to find out if it's a case that we can help with. If it is, then we oftentimes will meet with them in our office, or send someone out to them to go ahead and get the ball rolling and get out letters of representation to the workers' comp insurance company or the auto insurance company, and preserve evidence and get to work right away.
20 seconds, Ben, to wrap it up.
I think the most important thing to remember, it's free. It's confidential. You can get a free confidential analysis of your case. Go to the website, give us a call. You'll speak directly to me.
And if you are a female and you feel better talking to a female attorney, Ann Oxner, Whitney Butcher, the Whitley Law Firm has female attorneys on hand to take your calls. And I think one great thing is that you always pride yourself on that customer service.
That's right. And the customer service and the client attention is what we consider as the Whitley advantage.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Attorneys on Call. We'll see you next time right here.